we go. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. It means the world to me, and I wanted to introduce to you a couple of my really good friends. This is Dr. Jonathan Pasma. Yes. He's not only a doctor, he's a musician with the newly formed Ferris, Pier Ferris, right? And he is debuting his song tonight, Lights Like Us, in a minute. It's super cool. You're going to love it. It's going to get us all in the mood. In a good way. Jesse Pierpoint, my other amazing friend, one of the coolest and best and greatest artists I know in so many ways. And he is going to be doing some live art. Ben Fowler and Kindness are here filming, so you guys are going to be all over YouTube. But, that's still pretty cool. So other than that, I think we're ready to debut your song, right? It's the first time most people have ever heard it. Provided my brother got everything working, we're going to see. Here we go. This is Lights Like Us.
The light in the sky, stars fill the night, and I see your hand move close to mine. I think I like you, hold my breath to see you. It would be nice to turn the light on in the dark. Love is love, it's bright when we're together. Like us together, it's big enough to find me, to find me, to find me, to find me, Look up and take flight, the stars shine through. And we move, we dance, we fall together. I think I like you, hold my breath to see you. It would be nice to turn the light on in the dark. Love is love, it's bright when we're together. Love is love, it's brave enough to try. Love is love, it's lights like us together.
Dr. Pasma. God, so good. Okay, I think we're working. We'll find out. The great wisdom teachers spanning generations of history, spanning beliefs, spanning theologies, spanning doctrines, generally agree that the most important question we can ask ourselves is no. Yes, here we go. Wait, no, we're going back. No, play. Oh, it was going so good so far. Okay. Who am I? Who am I? After spending 44 years as a human being and talking to many other human beings, 10 years as a game designer, and then really 10 years as a pastor, I would have to agree this is the question everyone is asking. But we don't always say it this directly, like, who am I? We usually say, who does she think she is? Or who does he think he is? Or how can I be like him? Or what is he doing? Or what kind of a human would do that? Or even worse, we don't even humanize them. What kind of an animal would do that? But these are all just ways to get the question off of ourselves by putting it onto someone else, right? But another way we talk about it is, who am I to date that girl? Who am I to write that book? Who am I to start the podcast? Who am I to say that? Who am I to say this? Who am I to argue with that? Who am I to disagree with that? Or my own personal favorite, who am I to rent out the Bing and charge my friends? So, 2 weeks ago, I'll be honest, I was really struggling with this question. I talked to Dr. Pasma. It was a legit panic attack. Fetal position, Heidi, I'm canceling it. I'm not doing it. I was looking online, how do I cancel the Bing? I'm not kidding. I can't do this. I ran into somebody at Costco not too long after that, and I said, I just feel like I don't know where Ryan was. I had 3 days where I wasn't there, which is a really interesting question because I was the one saying that, and he was the one listening to me, and we both went, yeah, I know that feeling. What does that mean? I didn't know where I was or who I was. So I was asking big time, who am I to do this? Well, fortunately, I have the answer for all of us tonight. I am this, and you are this, and you are this. Pretty fancy. Now, we are this, we are not this, okay? And we are not this. Very different. We are this. Okay, great, Ryan, that's awesome. What the heck is this? Well, it's a light. What is a light? So glad you asked. That's why you're here. We're going to talk about what is a light. So first, let's talk about it from a little cultural perspective. And when you have your eyes open for what's in our culture and you're kind of preparing for something like this, you see lots of stuff. This thing is just really struggling. Here we go. So these are just some things I've noticed in the last few months. The dark side of food. The dark side of food. And we all go, oh yeah, I know what that means. There is no light left in Kylo Ren. You're right, there's not. He's with the dark side. Dark days, I've had dark days. Dark times, it's a dark movie. It's Nordic noir. It's a new genre. The Scandinavian dark TV show. My sister-in-law told me, it's Nordic noir, it's really cool. I was like, oh, that sounds great. Dressed in black tonight. Had to go back to Depeche Mode days. She's dressed in black tonight. You know that song, just that slow, like she's dressed in black tonight. Ooh, okay, what does that mean? Dark patterns. Dark patterns are the things on the internet that prevent you from doing what you want to do and make you do something you don't want to do. So when you want to cancel a subscription, you know how hard it is to do that? That's called a dark pattern because they don't want you to cancel. So it's even called a dark pattern. And it goes on, dark secrets, the shadow self. We get it, right? And then on the flip side, we have a bright future ahead. Spokane soccer is changing, but don't worry, folks, we've got a bright future ahead. The future is so bright, I gotta wear shades. He's got a smile that lights up the whole town from Taylor Swift. Yes, he does, and we all know what it means, do we? Close your eyes and taste the sun. I'll save the light in your eyes. From Wrinkle in Time movie, all kinds of light, dark metaphors. I never met nobody that sees the stars the way you do. Darling, leave a light on. Even when it's rainy, all you ever do is shine. Bozzy. So, somebody got it. So we hear this and we're already going, okay, I like this being a light thing, just culturally. I don't like being something that someone wants to do and can't do or has to do because they don't want to do it. I don't like being dark days, Nordic noir. That's not me. Future is bright ahead, so bright I gotta wear shades. Color, out of the dark tunnel. After every sunset, there's a sunrise. Yay! We get it already, right? It's everywhere in our culture, including, of course, Namaste. We've got some yoga friends here tonight. The light in me honors the light in you, and we all say it and go, yes. What does that mean? I mean, we kind of know what it means. I think we know what it means. I like it. But have you really thought about it? The light in me, I am the light. Are there any other good ones? Oh yeah, shine bright like a diamond. Rihanna. We sing it around our house all the time. Shine bright like a diamond. We just say it. And it's like, woo, feels so good. Higi, it's about candles and light. Et lux in tenebris luce, the Latin for the light shines in the darkness, the pinnacle of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. So it's everywhere. And right off the bat, if you just go culturally and you say, I am a light, I'm already in good shape. I mean, I am Rihanna. I am Taylor Swift. I am Namaste. I am not Nordic noir and dark patterns. I'm down with it. But there's more, much more, okay? This is where it starts to get really fun because I pretend to be a scientist. One more. How cool is this? Our whole history of civilization goes from the Dark Ages to the Enlightenment. Are you kidding me? And we all go, yeah, those Dark Ages, they were dark. And the Enlightenment, we were all enlightened. Right, great. And what does it mean? I don't know, but it sounds better than being in the Dark Ages. And it is, we know it. Okay, science. Now, I'm not a scientist. I see what this is doing. It's just taking a long time on the delays. Is that what it's doing? No. I feel like it's just not working. I hung out with a professional science teacher for a while because I didn't want to get up here and act like I knew science when I didn't. And I said, all right, sir, give it to me straight. Hit me with the science. First thing he said is, we are in the perfect spot in the universe to discover the universe. We are creatures made to discover, and we are discovering all the time because of light. Bam, I like you already. And he said, nothing can outrun light. So right off the bat, I'm already digging this science thing. I am light. I am discovering things that can be seen, and nothing can outrun me. Well, you know, metaphorically speaking. Next, light is a wave pattern. It emits and radiates. It carries momentum and energy with it, and it interacts with other matter. So think of you and you and you and you and you, and each thing you do radiating out, expanding out, carrying momentum and energy into other people, because this is a wave that we're a part of. This is way bigger than just you. This is like an ocean wave rippling in everything you do, touching here and there. Okay, I'm digging it again. I love this science stuff. But light is a small part of the electromagnetic spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum is what gamma rays, all these other rays, and light, visible light, the light we can see, is a small part. In fact, so small that people say 100% of the electromagnetic spectrum exists outside of visible light. Okay, did you get that? All we see is 0% of the electromagnetic spectrum, of which light is a part, which means something really cool. If I am a light, when you see me, you're really seeing 0% of me. Oh, wow, that's cool. There's 100% other me somewhere that's probably interacting with other 100% of you somewhere. Science. All things emit electromagnetic waves. I love the word all. It's such an equalizing word. All things. Whenever someone says all things, they usually don't mean it. All things, everyone, no, all things emit electromagnetic waves. And in this case, too, they don't mean it, because all things don't. Because we have dark matter, dark energy, or now what they're searching for are dark photons. This thing that exists in the universe doesn't emit electromagnetic waves. That's the only way we know it exists. So it's this mysterious thing that everyone's trying to figure out what it is, and the only way we know it's there is because it doesn't emit any kind of spectrum of light. Brene Brown says the darkness doesn't destroy the light, it defines it. In science, in us. Don't worry, folks, there's more. Photosynthesis. Everyone remember this one? I mean, remember the idea. I sat down with the science teacher. Can you explain to me photosynthesis? He spent 5 minutes. Yeah, I still don't get it. But it's basically something like this. Little molecules convert sunlight into energy on this microscopic level. And what I was just reading about not too long ago is we've filmed for the first time this happening on this energetic molecular level thing that I don't really even understand, or I'm not going to pretend to. But this thing that has provided life to the planet for 3 billion years happens so fast it takes a few picoseconds. A picosecond is a trillionth of a second. A bee flaps its wings 200 times a second. So, in the first action of these molecular level cell thingies turning sunlight into energy, a bee hasn't even thought about lifting its wing for the first time. Damn! You think you're small? You think it doesn't matter? This thing that converts light to energy and life happens so fast we can barely comprehend it. The Latin word for this is the viridatus, which is the greening from within, or this idea that all of us have this capability to transfer light into energy and life. Science keeps getting better. Now here's where it gets really weird. Quantum. This is another thing I'm not going to pretend to understand. Well, I am for a second. I asked the science professional, teacher, can you explain quantum? No, I can't. Well, okay. I'll just try to explain it to you anyway. From what I understand, an electron, if you want to say where it is, you can't say 3 things like normal, like latitude, longitude, elevation, like you can for us, like we would normally say. For an electron, you have to say this infinite list of numbers because an electron acts like a wave, like light does, right? Until an electron is observed, and this is kind of a crude version of quantum, but bear with me. Until it's observed, then it acts like a particle, and it actually exists in one place, and the wave function collapses. Now, stick with me. If we are lights, and I am a light, then I have infinite possibilities, and in a way, you can't really say where I am, but observing me matters a ton. Seeing someone matters, because when you do, I kind of become this, or this, or this, or this, and yet, we're all these things that we see, but we're also this thing that we don't see. This mysterious thing that doesn't really fit physics, but does. Wave functionings collapsing, that's us. The light bulb. The light bulb is artificial light. Artificial light has drastically changed our entire civilization. They say the night sky is now 6,000 times brighter than it was 150 years ago. Because of artificial light. And artificial light has done a ton of amazing things, like this, like lasers, like scanners, like we can go on and on and on. But it's also changed us. It's changed our sleep patterns. For those of you who wake up in the middle of the night with insomnia, there are some who say we have a permanent jet lag because of artificial light. Before artificial light, people generally slept 4 hours, woke up, then did some things. You can imagine what? Went back to sleep for another 4 hours. We're still recovering from that. And then there's this amazing parts of artificial light that don't act like natural light. So we get that it kind of is light, but it's not really like sunlight. Photosynthesis included, although we can fake it pretty well. But sunlight does things to our body that artificial light doesn't do. And so we have this idea that I am a light, and it means a lot of things. It means I'm Taylor Swift. It means I'm not Nordic Noir. It means I'm mysterious and kind of particle and wave and interacting with all of you, and you can't really see all of me, although you can see some of me, and sometimes it looks like this, but it's not really like that. It means I have this potential to convert things into life and energy. But it means there's also this real part of me that isn't the artificial part of me. But it kind of is, and I'm thankful for it, and does a lot of good things, but it's not like the real thing. Read that quote? It's a little snarky, but you guys gotta love it. It comes from an article about an ancient parchment that was written on with religious texts. Using light, scientists discovered that actually this book, this parchment that had been thought to be religious text for years and years, was actually a scientific manual underneath and had been written over with religion. And someone in the comments, which I rarely read, but sometimes it's worth it, science will always peek through, no matter how hard you try to hide it with religion. Here's the thing, no one should ever be trying to hide science with religion. I hope you just saw that. Science is freaking amazing. Science blows our mind, and there are so many metaphors that I can't get enough of it, and I can pretend to be a scientist up here on stage with you today. But it keeps going. We've got culturally light, we've got scientific light, and then we've got this word spiritual. Now, I'm going to admit spiritual is a loaded word, so I'm going to be careful with it. I was doing an interview for this event, actually, and the interviewer said, "So is the night going to be spiritual?" Then I said, "I don't know. What does spiritual mean?" And he said, good question. I said, "Well, I guess I don't need to answer yours then." And I said, "Because to me, a lot of things are spiritual. Maybe everything. I mean, I think flying an airplane is spiritual." And he went, "Okay." So I'm going to take a second. You don't understand how much I love airplanes. Some of you do. Like, I look at this picture and I just get jacked up. I've looked at this picture so many times that it's ridiculous. And I still, right now, looking at it, I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. Frankfurt, Lufthansa, one of my favorite airlines, their design is so good, right, Jesse? I mean, that's a sweet logo. The planes, I can tell you what they are. But here's the other thing. Aviation is like this parallel to religion in all of these weird ways. I'm going to tell you why. Here's the first one. When I tell people I love aviation as much as I do, they give me the exact same look people gave me when I said I was a pastor. I see it right in them. I'm like, I know that look. They're kind of like, I mean, that's cool. You don't get it. I love aviation. That's cool. Yeah, I'm a pastor. That's cool. So here's the reasons, though. Let's think about some of this. Flying an airplane. You get on a tube and go 40,000 feet in the air, 500 miles an hour, and you don't really know how it works. You kind of think you do. It takes a lot of faith to get on that thing. Now, we'd say less and less, but then there's a big accident, like, I don't know. I'm getting on it. I'm trusting. What are you trusting? You're trusting science, and you're trusting countless human beings who you will never meet, who have had a role in your flight. I mean, we're talking so many human beings it would be ridiculous to try to list them right now. Human after human after human who you trust care about your life enough to get on there. And here's the thing. We use words like the miracle of flight. I've been doing some interviews around flight. People call it's miraculous. Well, it's not really. We know how it works, but it is. It is miraculous. You get on that thing and go, how is this happening? Well, Ryan, it's lift going over. No, how is it happening? And then there's this thing. Some people are on an airplane, and now some of you travel a lot. You might be this person. You're on an airplane to get to where you're going. Just get me there. We've been doing some ads for our little aviation company, and this guy on Facebook keeps posting his comments on our ads. And every comment is like, stupid, dumbest part of the trip, flying. I hate flying, so stupid. Who would want art about this? God, Shut up. Thank you, I get it. Also, you remind me of a lot of people in life. So stupid. I'm just waiting to get there. Just waiting for the job, waiting for the relationship, waiting to die and go to heaven, waiting for something, and in the meantime, I'm on this stupid tube with my window shade closed down. And some people open the shade and actually enjoy the flight. And they enjoy where they're at. And they enjoy the sunset over the Antarctic. And they enjoy just brown fields from 38,000 feet, thinking, wow, that's pretty amazing. Another thing about aviation, fear can cripple you from ever taking the trip. There are still people to this day so afraid to get on an airplane that they'll never go there. Talk about an amazing metaphor for life. So I hope you see why I love aviation. It's so spiritual, it's kind of eerie. And here's what spiritual is. Remember, coming back to the electromagnetic spectrum, to me, spiritual is that 100% of other stuff. Yeah, I see this, but there's 100% I don't. What is that? I don't know. We'll call it spiritual. And it interacts with everything I do. In fact, Thomas Merton said this, a life is either all spiritual or not at all. Just think on that one for a second. A life is either all spiritual or not at all. So either it's all, I don't know how many times I need to say this, I won't. I feel like I do though, because, that's, yes. No, everything or nothing. Okay, so let's talk about the spiritual side of things from the wisdom teachers, if you will. One, most spiritual creation stories start with darkness, so does the science story, and then light comes. Then there was light. Light is the first thing created. And then this light goes on, and eventually humans come, but there's always this kind of combo tie-in to the light and to the humanity of us, which is pretty amazing. And if you take that far enough, you start to get a lot of beautiful quotes like this, and I hate to read slides, but I'm going to. I wish I could show you when you are lonely or in darkness the astonishing light of your own being. And these are from a variety of traditions, religions, doesn't matter. Let them sink in. There is an infinite community of light. The soul is spacious, plentiful, and its amplitude is impossible to exaggerate. We are conditioned to perceive only external light. We forget that there is such a thing as inner light, illuminating our soul, and we mistake that radiance for darkness. And again, some of the language, soul, what? Us, the 100%, whatever it is. That thing we are, that thing that isn't the other thing that we know. There is a secret place, a radiant sanctuary, as real as your own kitchen, more real than that, constructed of the purest elements. This magnificent refuge is inside you. Enter, shatter the darkness that shrouds the doorway. The little boy who was born with goodness. This kind of thinking has huge ramifications. This last line is from Shaka Senghor, who was a convicted murderer. And he said the only way he was able to forgive himself was to keep going back to that little boy who was born with goodness. That little boy, right here. That's how he was able to forgive himself, to keep going back to this. Zainab Salib, she was a woman who struggled with her beauty for a long time, and she eventually met this Tibetan woman, and the Tibetan woman said to her, you need to start looking in the mirror into your eyes. I want you every day to look in the mirror into your eyes. And she said, I started doing this. And I would look into the mirror every day. And eventually I saw something else that was beautiful, and I believed it. What'd you see? Ramadas tells another story, being in India. You can imagine the setup, right? This little guru sitting on a hill. All these people are surrounding him. And he tells the story. He's like, I didn't want to really go near it. And this guru sees him and says, You were under the stars last night crying for your mother. He's like, whoa, okay, freaky. My mom had just died. So he kind of, okay. How do you know my mother? What was her name? Spleen. She had died of spleen cancer. Okay. So he says, I walk a little closer, and he says, this man looked at me. He said, I felt like I belonged, like I was loved, like I was connected, not with the ego, not with something else, not with the artificial, but with me. And the man said, you now know what love feels like. Go and give this to the world. Whoa. That's pretty powerful stuff. I used to say when people asked me, they'd say, like, what's your good news? So kind of a cheesy little saying, but whatever. People would ask me, what's your good news? I'd say, you're enough. You're enough. I've changed it, because you're enough is not enough. It's kind of lame, actually. Because if we are a light, you're not enough. Here it is. You are infinite brilliance. And when I say infinite brilliance, I'm saying all the things we just said. Culturally, scientifically, spiritually, looking in a mirror. Oh, I feel like there's something deeper here. Infinite brilliance. And brilliance is this word that can mean so many things, and it should, because that's who we are. I was with our friend Elise. I don't know if she's here tonight. We were up at Mount Spokane, and she works there, and she said, I love when the sun comes out at Mount Spokane. Why? Everyone's happy. Oh, no one's complaining about the fog, about the weather, about it's too cold, too. She said, look around, look at everyone. They're just so happy in the sun. I mean, can we at least be that? Can we at least be like that? Yeah, that's me. When you're around me, you're just happy in the sun. When I'm around you, I'm just happy in the sun. If I actually start to believe this. So here's the thing. I mean, I am, you are. Taylor Swift, Bozzy, Rihanna, Coldplay, Namaste. We're not Nordic Noir. We're not Dark Patterns. We are waves, quantum, mystery, infinite brilliance, Veridatus, this greening from within. We are this infinite community of light. I mean, we just look in the mirror and I'm so moved. I just connect. I feel it. I mean, this is who we are, right? It's so great. It's so awesome. Yay! And why does it just suck? Why does life just suck sometimes? Why are there seemingly 3 humans who have actually gotten this? Jesus, Buddha, and Bruno Mars. I had heard Jay-Z, but I saw the interview with David Letterman, and he doesn't get it either. Bruno Mars, from everyone I've heard, is one of the only living people who thinks he is this all the time, 24/7. So, I mean, it's so great. I am this, and there's apparently 3 people who've ever really gotten it. And maybe more importantly, why is my friend up at 3 a.m? He has a good job, an amazing family, amazing kids, cars, health, whatever you want to say. And he's up at 3 a.m. saying, I'm a failure. I'm an embarrassment to my family. I'm not doing enough. Why is he saying that? And worse, when I say that, why are half of you thinking, is he talking about me? Did I tell him my story? If we are this, why doesn't it feel like it? Well, there were these cage monkeys. I've told this story before. It's worth telling again and again and again. Chimpanzees, experimented on for 30 years. in a lab, in small little cages. And one day, they released the chimpanzees into the open. And you can see the video. I've watched it many times because it moves me every time. They open this door, the sunlight's there, and some of the chimpanzees, the door's open, and they're like, boom, field, trees, freedom. Some of the chimpanzees kind of just sit in the sun like, woo, what is this? Because this is amazing. Some of the chimpanzees kind of explore. Some go back into the cage. And I didn't believe it. I don't see it on the video. I'm looking up all these articles. Do they really go back into the cage? And then a few weeks ago, a similar thing happened in Texas. These chimpanzees were all in this field. They stack these 55-gallon drums. They're smart. They get over this wall. They're free. They have found freedom. Woo! Go, chimpanzees, go! They kind of hang around the wall. Some bolt. One of them climbs back up the wall, back inside the cage. What are you doing? You're injected there. They're putting stuff that isn't good in your body to see if it'll someday be good for me. Get out of there while you can. No, it goes back in. You go, what are you doing? Why? Because here's the thing. See this little light right here? It's cool, but look how vulnerable it is. Look at all of you. You could all do anything you want to. You're just staring at it. It's practically naked up there. This poor little guy, he needs protection. He needs covering. He needs to be safe and secure. Can't be out in the open like this, in the freedom, in the infinite brilliance. We got to be protected. So we protect and we cover and we build cages. And yeah, they poke and prod me, but at least I'm safe. It's a great line from the mentor of Rumi, which if you're the mentor of Rumi, I'm listening. Humanity is asleep, concerned only with what is useless, living in a wrong world. Man or woman is wrapping his or her net around himself or herself. So, the reason we wake up at 3 a.m., and I do too, is because we cover this thing. And I'm going to tell you some things that I have covered in my life, and maybe you can relate to them. These are not the end-all, be-all, but there's some options. More props. This one I call dehumanization. Okay, so here's the thing. What is being a human? Well, a human is this. A human is this. A human is all of the things we've just talked about, culturally, scientifically, spiritually, it's this. But whenever we do something that doesn't treat a human like that, we cover the light. Some examples: poverty, starvation, maybe a human being being kept in solitary confinement for 330 days with no light in the room. That begins to hide the light. Not completely, it's still there. But don't worry, there's more. Scarcity. Those things. Scarcity, the law of scarcity says this: the more you think you need something, the more you're going to do the things that are not going to get you that thing. An example: I'm desperate for a friend. Yeah, you know, none of you want to be friends with that person. Why? Well, they're just so desperate. They do all the things that a friend would never want. And it's terrible. But it's this rule of scarcity because there's not enough of it. So if there's not enough of it, I've got to do everything I can when I do get it to hold on to it way too tight. And I've got to do everything I can to find it. And in doing that, I do the exact things that will never get me the thing. So what if light is very scarce? What if only a few people have light? What if it's a long road to find light? Whew, man. I better start dedicating my life to finding the light. Yeah, well, you do that, you might want to be scared what happens. Another one, fear. Oh, good old fear, right? Oh, look, we can still see the light a little bit in there. I'm going to tell you some stories. Fear. My wife and I were in Denver in February. We got into the airport. It's snowing like a flake. I literally chit, chit. We get to the rental car company. I won't say who, even though I should, because this thing's going to be all over YouTube. The guy says, you guys ever been to Colorado Springs before? No, we haven't. Oh, really? Whoa, okay. Well, I noticed you're driving a two-wheel drive. Yeah, we are. Well, I don't know if you want to do that. Really? What's up? You got to go over a big pass to get from here to Colorado Springs. Really? Wow, how big? Oh, huge. Like so big, it's like twice as high here, and we're at 5,000 feet already. I'm like, really? Wow, that seems really high. So we're gonna go up 5,000 feet between here and Colorado Springs? I'm on my phone. He goes, yeah, and I'll tell you what, the weather's always 4 times worse there than it is here, and right now it's snowing here. I'm like, there's a flake. He goes, well, trust me, it's dumping there. Really, it is? Oh, yeah. I'm like, well, do they not clear it? Well, they can't keep up with it right now. You're really going to want the 4-wheel drive. Really? I'm looking up, what is this pass we're going over? I said, I'm from Washington. We drive over passes pretty often. I just don't feel like it's going to close. Well, no, this pass, trust me, you're going to want the 4-wheel. Do you want me to sign you up for the 4-wheel drive? No, I don't. You know what? Game over, dude. You're too obvious. I'm getting the 2-wheel drive. Gotten the 2-wheel drive. Blitzed down to Colorado Springs. Pretty simple. The pass was, like 500 feet. You guys have been there. Clear as this. And I thought, man alive, is that not a blatant example of what everyone's always trying to do to me? Well, I better be careful. Can I sell you this thing? Well, it's a lot worse out there, trust me, but I've got the perfect thing for you. One example. Another example, our sweet little cat, Ray. She was sitting on my wife's lap in her chair, and a German Shepherd was outside. Big German Shepherd. Thing is, there's this glass window between them. Well, Ray was asleep, bolts up. German Shepherd's way far away, window. I'm like, Ray, you're all right, just chill. She's just like, nope. Fear, fear, fear. How many times have I been like that cat? It can't get me. It can't get me. But I'm not going to sleep because I see it out there somewhere. And I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. And they're selling, and they're always using it. And the more fear that covers, the more we start to lose more and more. And then we start piling on this beauty right here, shame. Our friends, Landon and Sarah, have 2 kids, another on the way. And they were telling their oldest about the APGAR test. They said, yeah, your little brother, he got a 10 on the test. Oh, really? What'd I get, Mom? Well, honey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just the lady who invented it was really cool. It's like a really cool, just don't worry. Well, what did I get? I got a 6. You got a 6. I got a 6? Oh, man. I got a 6? No, honey, but you're so healthy. You were just a little small. You weren't as big as your little brother. It's okay. Man, I got a 6. I got a 6. Oh, I hope our next baby doesn't get a 6. Hope the baby gets a 10. Have you ever realized we start measuring humans from the instant they're born? Literally the instant. Whoop. Oh, hey, 10. Woo, 10, bam. Honey, we're rolling. 6, above average. The thing is, we hate shame. We hate it, and yet we love measuring. We love contests. I mean, look at stupid March Madness. Everyone has a bracket. Why? Got to see where I get in the bracket, man. Woo, top of my bracket. Nailed it this year. I mean, that's cool, but is it? I love it too. I play it. And we love the competition. We love the measuring. We love shooting for number one. But here's the thing. There's a very small percent of the population who's number one. Most people are 2 and below. And as soon as we start measuring, we start with this because we don't measure up. And of course, we forget what's really deep in there. By this point, you can barely see it. Well, yeah, I'm a failure. 3 a.m. I'm an embarrassment to my family. Here's another good one. Power and control. Okay, so I told you how much I love airplanes. Here's the flip side. I have family here tonight. They've never heard me admit this. I'm admitting it. When we travel, I have this thing that I can't be too early to the airport. It's like this game I play. I'm such a pro that I get to the airport right on time. So we've traveled with our extended family. They're at the airport like 2 hours ahead of time. I'm like, I can't wait to walk into that terminal like 45 minutes early, sit down with my coffee and go, oh, we're boarding? How long have you guys been here? Now, my immediate family knows this about me really well because by now we have, I don't know how many times, run through a terminal. I mean, running. Orange County, we went there once. I'm like, I got this. The Google Maps is like, turn right, turn right. I'm like, no, I've made this a million times. You won't turn here. 10 miles down, I'm like, oh, we should have turned here. Dad, we're going to be late. We're fine. I've got it fine. Running through New York, we were all there. I actually filmed my entire family because they're like, Dad, we're going to be late. And I'm like, no, we're going to go get a burger, eat at this restaurant. We're going to have plenty of time, you guys. Dad, traffic, it's New York. We got to get to Newark. You guys, I'm filming them all. They're panicking. I have the video. Like, are you guys nervous we're not going to make the flight? On that one, turns out we made the flight in plenty of time. In fact, stopped for some scenic pictures. The weird thing is, I like airports so much, it makes no sense. Like, I love being in an airport. Why would I not just want to go there and relax? I miss out on so much of my love of aviation because I love power and control a wee bit more. Here's another great story. In yoga, we're doing this yin meditation. It's like all quiet. The instructor's like, think of somewhere calm and restful and beautiful where you relax. And I'm thinking, well, beach. Some of you will probably think of a beach. I'm like, you know what? Everyone's going to think of a beach. I'm not going to think of a beach. I'm going to think of something that no one would think of. I'm going to think of an art museum, a modern art museum. So I am sitting there thinking of a modern art museum. No, it wasn't meditative. It wasn't relaxing. It was nothing. We got in the car, and my wife was like, man, that was so good. I said, yeah, it didn't really do it for me. She's like, really? Man, I just kept imagining the sand in my toes, the warm breeze, the waves. I was like, yeah, I was imagining kind of white walls and a picture because I knew no one would. Power and control, right there in yoga, meditating. Nah, I'm going to be different. I'm going to control this my way and miss out on the entire class. This little guy, clinging. The Buddhists call it clinging to the artificial. What isn't real? So I'd say we can cling to all kinds of things. Maybe one of them is the critics. There's this phraseology of fragile and anti-fragile. The fragile human cares more about the few who doesn't like him or her than the many who do. But the anti-fragile, the artist in many cases, cares more about the few who like him or her than the many who don't. Or this idea of, I'd rather succeed. No, I'd rather fail in freedom than succeed in chains. So this clinging thing, by now, I think it's really obvious what we actually cling to, which is what the last one is. Ego. Ego, false self, shadow self. One of the yoga instructors once said, ego creates injury. Love that line. Because if you ever wondered what ego is, this is it. See, it's not near as pretty as this. In fact, it's kind of, dark, layered, and in fact, by now, you cannot see the light at all. It's successfully, completely covered. And so many of us, this is what we live, and this is what we feed all the time. And this is why I can sit here and say, Ryan, you're Taylor Swift, you're Bozzy, you're not dark patterns, you're quantum, you're on, infinite light community. But when I live like this, it doesn't matter. Because this is who I am. All of this stuff. Where are we at? Oh, are we going? Nice. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. What a brilliant line. We're born like this. It's kind of tragic, though. Our birth, we sleep and we start to forget because we start to cover. Now, for a second, systems, because you can imagine if this is one individual, what about a system? Remember this, systems never exist to shine light on individuals. They don't exist for individuals. Systems exist to perpetuate a system. So imagine this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and then this, and this, and this, and this, covered over all of these lights on grand scales. So we have the system of the relentless pursuit of keeping up. And imagine this system where it feeds on shame, it feeds on fear, it feeds on artificiality, it feeds on ego. And you've always got to keep up. Why? To feed the system. Material comforts are a ready salve for the discontents of the soul. Before everyone gets back to the serious business of distracted consumption. I just love good writing like this. Just like, ooh. This system, relentless, keeping up to feed it and to feed all of these in one way or another. What about the system of the relentless pursuit of appeasing a deity? You talk about feeding on this stuff. Shame, fear, artificiality, clinging, ego, power, control. Why does the system exist? Not to highlight an individual light, to feed the system. The system can significantly delay the emergence of our true self. I have been a priest for 42 years and can say that from solid experience, Richard Rohr. But don't worry. A rabbi, an imam, a pastor can say the same thing. There are people that have to leave the system to find God, which is pretty amazing. But this relentless pursuit of appeasing a deity to feed all of this stuff, and then it just covers it, just layers thick. You start to see where it goes. How about this one? The system of the relentless pursuit of power and control in the name of tribe. More power, more control for my tribe, not for these, for me. Again, ego, shame, fear, power, control, clinging, more power, more control for us, not for them. The difference between a dialect and a language is that a language has an army. That's such a great line. Because it's not just a dialect or a language. Think about how many things are completely different if there's an army behind them. If there's more power and more control, even for a corporation, for a group, fill in the blanks. Now, Victor Havel said, you can't change systems by changing systems, you have to change the individual. A better system will not automatically ensure a better life. In fact, the opposite is true. Only by creating a better life can a better system be developed. So if this is us, and we're covered and we're looking not real good right now, to be honest. This is me 2 weeks ago. Right there. Where's Ryan? I feel like I can't find myself. Yeah, you can't. You can't even see it. You're layered thick, man. You're covered with all kinds of stuff. So how do we uncover it? Which again, these are just some examples. There are no 12 steps for this one. Some things that have worked are working a little bit for me that I hope some of you can relate to. Got to start here. What is the seat of enlightenment? Freedom from artificiality. Because this is not real, right? This is fake. This whole thing is fake. We're just draped in artificiality. I love that word. And if you want to be enlightened, if you want to start living more like this, like culturally, scientifically, spiritually, then you got to first acknowledge that that's what we're even aiming for. Declutter. That's what I call it. Because look, this thing's a mess, people. If you're into design at all, this is just not pretty. Start with declutter. There's a reason the decluttering movement is catching on. Because we're cluttered everywhere. Cluttered with information, with schedules, with people, with tasks, with rules, with laws, with Facebook fake news, with posts, with comments, with on and on it goes. Do I own the car? Does the car own me at some point? It's just too much dragging us down. Start taking it off. Whoops, wrong button. Focus instead on the walls of your own making that are blocking the light. True spiritual teachings are about this energy and how to open it. All spiritual growth is no more than a matter of becoming who we already are. God is not attained by a process of addition to anything in the soul, but by a process of subtractions. Genius is only a superior power of seeing. See, we get declutter in so many things in life. A good book is not the book where you just keep adding words. It's the book where the author was able to have all the words and start cutting. A good movie is the movie where the editor started cutting. This talk, I had 100 and some pages, which is why I was really freaking out, probably. Cut it down to 13 pages. Is it good? Maybe. Could it have been better? I don't know. But I know it got good in the process of cutting. Ed Catmull, Pixar, says physicists and artists both have to see what's there and remove. Scott Adams says the romantic isn't someone who creates romance. They see romance when it's there. See, we get this stuff. It's here already. We don't have to come creating it. We've got to start removing it. And it's in all kinds of places in our lives. Declutter. Equality. Now, we love this word and hate this word. It's kind of like all. We love it because suddenly the game's over. We don't have to race anymore. It's okay. We're all equal. We're all this. Look, this is us. This one's not better or worse. It's just kind of there. Oh, they're beautiful. Whew, that's nice. We hate it because, well, I kind of like winning. Kind of feels good to be number 1, number 5, top 10, top 100, honestly. Top 1,000, I don't know. I mean, at least I know I got 5,000 below me. Equality comes from the Latin equus, which comes from this calm, tranquil, serene water. Don't you just feel it sometimes? It feels so nice when you don't have to race anymore and compete and beat someone down with your ego and all of this stuff. This is one of the greatest challenges that humanity faces, removing the barriers between who we see as us and who we see as other. The Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa said something very similar. You know, in Japan, 27% of the population is 65 and older, and they have a huge increase in shoplifting among the elderly in order to be put in prison to find community. To be seen as who they are, to be just some kind of community, just some kind of equality. Help. I mean, this one should be pretty obvious, right? Just help. Help what? Help take this off of someone. Starvation, poverty, all the way down. Shame, fear, power, control, you name it. The joy we experience in these moments of self-forgetting is our true nature, our native state. To regain it, we have to simply empty ourselves of what hides this joy. That is to stop dwelling on ourselves. But here, it should be obvious again, but when we're so focused on this, we just keep stacking. And when we, for once, just say, hey, you know what, that person over there, maybe I'll just focus on taking this one off a little bit. And you forget this, and this starts to slide away a little bit yourself. This one. Space. Emptiness. Meditation. Prayer. I'm pretty sure Jesus and Buddha had that one down. Bruno Mars might, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. It's a beautiful quote here. Every American wants more and more of the world, and why not? You only live once. But the mistake made in America is persons accumulate more and more dead matter, machinery, possessions, and rugs, and fact information at the expense of what really counts as more. Feeling, good feeling, sex feeling, tenderness feeling, mutual feeling. This line, you own twice as much rug if you're twice as aware of the rug. There's a saying, it's easier to put on slippers than to carpet the world. Anthony DeMello was asked in one of his books, they asked the master, how do we attain enlightenment? Well, you can't attain enlightenment any more than you can watch the sunrise. But if you practice enough, you'll actually see the sunrise. This is what space, meditation, prayer, whatever word you want to put on it, that's what it's about. Taking this stuff off, becoming aware of what is here now. The Zen masters compare drinking a green cup of tea to enlightenment because you can't drink the cup. You can't not feel the warmth of the cup. You can't not smell it. You can't not taste it. You can't not see the handle without being in the now. And if you're not, then you're not really drinking the cup of tea. That is a way to start to remove this because, of course, fear is here, and fear is always out there. Not right here. Pain. Oof. I don't like this one. None of us do, right? But pain has this incredible ability to start cutting. And when we cut, it hurts, stings. But something else happens. Oh yeah, you can see a little bit of light in there. See a little more. Our wounds are where the light shines through, Rumi. Our wounds are where the light shines through. Leonard Cohen, the crack is where the light gets in. I think it might be where it gets out too. Blessed are the cracked, for they shall let in the light or let it out. Only the wounded physician heals. See, the pain, it stinks, I know. Even my daughter, she said at Christmas time, you know, Dad, Christmas lights just don't look as good in the day as they do at night. No, they don't. In World War II, they found that the cities that were bombed had higher morale than those that were not. Dresden, Germany being a great example. They found this repeated over and over. The more pain and suffering that a city goes through together, the higher morale and the more resistance they have. Those that got away free and clear didn't. There's this great word called scabulous. Scabulous. Being proud of your scars. Being proud of your wounds. Even the wounds that you self-inflicted sometimes. Because I can say from experience, some of those hurt and they stink and I don't like them. But they do start to reveal, if we let them, a little more of who I am in there. Stories. I mean, just think about the stories of people. Imagine this thing just crusted over. Imagine it this thick, made of metal. I mean, worn out. There are people walking around with stories so thick that honestly, some of them, I think if we're real, all we can ever hope for is just maybe we can help cut some of this away somewhere. But at least when we start hearing stories, we start to realize why people don't always walk around like this, and sometimes they walk around more like this. Because there's a reason they do. The Chinese president said, once untrustworthy, always restricted. Which would go, oh, those Chinese, wow, aren't they crazy? And then we go, Catherine Hoke, who works with prisoners, and she says, how would you like to be known for the worst thing you've ever done for the rest of your life? How would you like to only be known for the worst thing you've ever done for the rest of your life? I have a friend who works in the prisons, and he says he's never met a female prisoner who was not abused as a child. Catherine Hoke says the same thing. Father G says the same thing of gang members. The stories of these people, if you listen to them, there is no way, if you have a heart, which you do, there is no way you start to not believe there's something beautiful, infinite brilliance inside there somewhere. And I'm going to admit, again, some of these are so thick, I don't know. My sister-in-law works with teens and talking about their stories. And will they ever recover? I don't know. But I still believe it's in there. And hearing a story helps me believe it even more. I have a friend whose mom told her the world would be better off if you hadn't been born for her entire growing up. She said, I wish I'd never gotten pregnant with you. That's a story. I have another good friend whose dad told him, I can't be at your wedding. Well, I can be there, but if we come and don't celebrate, will that bother you? And my friend said, what do you mean don't celebrate? Well, when you're walking down the aisle and everyone's standing and cheering, me and your mom will just kind of be sitting there. And I watched his eyes but it's okay, he said, it's okay. No, it's not. And then I thought, what kind of a story does his dad have? That he can't go to that wedding, or if he does, he can't celebrate. And on it goes. The last one, love, right? Gosh, that's the one. Now, before we get there, some people are still convinced that this is love. Well, now I've noticed, we got a mistake here. And I've noticed, oh boy, yeah, this isn't good here. Oh boy, yeah. You know, what you're going to want to do is probably, I've got some books I can give you. Or, I will pray for you. Boy, I'll pray for you. Or, oh boy, I honestly, the smell right now is just, I do love you. I do love you. But all of this is like, oof. Okay, that is not love. It's never been love, never will be love. That's just more of this stuff. Ego, shame, fear, clinging. That's what that is. And you can call it love all you want. It's not love. It's just feeding fake, artificial egos and everything else. This is love. Man, do you see who you are? Look at you. You're beautiful. Infinite brilliance. I know it's in there. I know it's in there. Even if you don't know it's in there, it is in there. Trust me, I'm going to do everything I can to help you realize what you are and who you are, because it will blow your mind. And I know it. It's everywhere. And it's namaste. It's Taylor Swift. It's quantum mystery showing up like this, but then there's this wave. It's energy and light going into life. It's this spacious, beautiful place inside of you. And yeah, we see this, but there's 100% more somewhere else. And trust me, it's amazing. It's infinite brilliance. Got to end with this quote from Auntie, because if your name's Auntie, you're cool. This is an architect, even better. Architecture is not about the building itself, but how light and shadows work to define form. There's this pretty well-known story of the Rio Olympics where there's this race, and the two runners collided, and one of them fell down. And the other runner stopped her race, qualifying meet, picked up her fellow runner they had never met, and walked her to the finish line. And it's a good story. But I heard Tim Shriver ask a profound question about the race in talking about it. And he said, who won the race? Well, what race are you talking about? That's the question. What race are you talking about? We have a lot of races to build buildings, to add more, to bring more, to do more. And it can be great, of course. But it can also be the very wrong race. Because as this quote says, how light and shadows work to define form. They're both there. They both exist. And I kind of want my life to be about this race of working, of how light and shadows define who we are, and removing shadows while still recognizing they're there and bringing more light to the world. So, every yoga ends with a little namaste. I thought it would be appropriate to have you all do a pose. No, I'm kidding. Thought it'd be appropriate to say it this way. The light in me. You know what that means now. Honors, cherishes, is inspired by, loves, is so grateful for you even being here, is moved, is rooting for, is working to reveal who you are and what you're capable of to the light in each and every single one of you. Namaste, right? Thank you for being here.
The light in the sky, stars fill the night, and I see your hand